to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a couple of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like bacon, steaks, and cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo and Sheil in the cut, kicking it cooler than two penguins till Bo's old arch nemesis Greg Cosell shows up and it gets real. Pull up a branch and chill. It's time to get ill with some Birds with Friends. The early bird skips the worm and prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Bo Wolf and Sheil are coming at you with stats and things flapping their wings.
I'm gonna have the rest of my life with these kids. Wow. We gotta get that in a drop immediately. Let's edit that one out. That didn't come out the way.
There's no editing. No editing on this
that's
podcast.
That's the wonderful of Birds with Friends. No editing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday afternoon edition of Birds with Friends, one that's going to put the no editing to the test. We are live on YouTube for this bad boy. Sheil Kapadia, Zach Berman. Sheil, how are you?
Well, this is, I always joke about you potentially getting fired, but we are live here. So if we continue to do these, it's really only a matter of time. So maybe we could twist it into one of your terrible games and say over under for when Bo gets fired for something he said on a live YouTube channel. But I'm here at Pastificios, as everyone can tell.
You never looked better.
In South Philly. No, I didn't clear this through anybody, but advertising opportunity. I mean, if you're a business, you want us to be sitting at your shop. We just do it because we love Pastificios. I'm going to change this in a minute. My kids, my wife, everybody kind of worked on my background a little bit more this morning, but I just wanted to get that out there. We're always looking to make an extra buck. And
I'll tell you what, back in my my past life, we might have paid a little bit of money for that All-State plug you're giving right there.
Okay, there you go.
And the dry cleaners as well.
Yeah. CB, how you doing?
I'm well, excited for the show.
Excited for the show, baby. All right. Well, we've got a hard out, which is just what Sheil likes, so we can get going. We're going to talk a little bit of a training camp preview, talking about the things that we're most excited to see on the field next week, and then Zach has prepared a game, so we're looking forward to that. But before we do that, Zach, we heard from several coaches and players today via Zoom. What were the highlights for you?
So Matt Burke was the first person we spoke with today. And in speaking to Matt Burke, he
man of mystery who's been on the team for 2 years, our first time to get to talk to him.
Yeah, so it seems he was on a 1-year contract last year when he was a consultant or senior defensive. He didn't have, exactly. Long history, obviously, with Jim Schwartz. Didn't want to get into the details of players because he hasn't seen them in pads yet, but spoke quite a bit about his story, which is interesting as well. He was a Dartmouth grad who was at Harvard, and Jim Schwartz called and interviewed for a quality control job down in Tennessee before quality control jobs really caught on, and impressed during the interview. Sheil's really going to like this fact. Did not have an apartment in Nashville when he moved out. Slept in his office for 3 months, working 100 hours a week because
we can get into this because it has been a banner week for football guys.
Yes.
But
they're all just because they're breaking out their biggest hits.
It's fantastic.
That's a great backdrop, Sheil.
Thank you. This is artwork from the kids. They were all down here making it look better this morning. I just had sort of a white wall back there. We have an elliptical back there. I was like, we need something better. And so they rose to action. I am not creative. I have no ideas of my own. So listen, if you guys don't sponsor my background with one of your local businesses, then you get to see my kids' artwork.
Leela, bang up job there. Casey and I made some frogs out of egg, or some turtles out of egg cartons this morning.
There you go.
There you go.
And you got Uncle Dave over your shoulder?
Yeah, Uncle Dave.
Yeah,
of course.
Great.
I'm sorry, Zach, we cut you off as always.
No, but I should say I was answering your question succinctly about the conference calls today, but because this is our first time speaking since Monday, we should mention the fact that Doug Peterson is back. And Doug Peterson, Doug Peterson was back in the office yesterday. We spoke with Doug. I'll just give the quick highlights from Doug. He says they'd be ready to play their preseason game tonight if they had to. This would have been.
What else are you gonna say?
This would have been their preseason opener, but
was even put on the pads.
That's the most. That's a favorite of football guy. We'll play anyone, anywhere. We'll Chip Kelly. We'll go play in the parking lot.
Well, and the thing about this season, Sheil, is this season is going to be about which team is the most adaptable.
Two opponents.
Well,
two opponents.
COVID and the team you're playing.
You got to have two playbooks, and the right. COVID one might even be a little bit more important.
A little bit.
Doug's point was that they spent the past 2 weeks installing the offense and defense. So they aren't at the point of installation. When they get out there, which is already happening, they will be actually practicing and doing everything they would at this time of year. So that was Doug Peterson's point. And we had spoken a few weeks ago about how are they going to allocate time during training camp practices. And Doug said it's going to be very starter centric. They're going to focus on getting their starters ready to play.
And he also said like this idea of having scrimmages as expected, not a real thing. Like he's like, well, we always have like a couple live periods. We always have 2 days of live periods. We'll probably do the same thing. Like they're not going to have a full team scrimmage.
So it's going to be similar to what they normally do, right?
It's the exact same thing as they normally do.
I think that was Brian Baldinger, right? He said he thought
Baldy said, yeah. He said
they would do it a little bit more. So okay.
So, but I mean the thing I wanted to ask Doug, and again, shut out 0 for 3 in the last Doug press conferences,
was birds under that screen, but
like we talk, coaches talk all the time about the importance of the off season and the OTAs and stuff like that. And he, at the same time, is saying, "Oh, we're not going to miss a beat. We're ready for week 1." So, like, where's the disparity? Are we going to learn that maybe that other stuff is not so important, or are your expectations for crispness in week 1, downgraded a little bit?
Well, I'm doing a post for The Athletic. Of course, you can join The Athletic if you don't by now. I mean, as you know, I'm not afraid to say it on screen that you're pathetic. But if you haven't,
we're doing a free video for you.
Yeah, theathletic.com/birdswithfriends will get you 40% off. And I'm doing a continuity score for every team. So you're combining head coach, offensive play caller, defensive play caller, starting quarterback, and returning snaps. So I looked at, here's all the snaps from last year. Oh, thanks for your approval. Doing all the snaps from last year. How many, and I use 53-man roster projections from all our tremendous beat writers. So how many are expected to be on the team this year? Where do you think?
That's a lot of work out of you.
Well, someone's got to do it.
That's why he's Bill Barnwell's favorite writer.
He's the number 1 writer in America.
By the way, he's
got his sights set on like Eli Saslow he wants to go beyond the best football writer in America. He wants to just be the best writer in America.
Eli is the best writer in America.
You can comment on our YouTube channel. Kyle says setting the over under at 8 minutes for Zach getting visibly frustrated at a Bo interjection, and we have 2 unders for that so far. So if anyone, I don't know if we can get DraftKings involved and really make this interactive with live betting. I would like that. But
I made a lot of money the other night on betting the under on Sean McVay taking his shirt off on Hard Knocks.
Well, that's a good take. Where do you think the Eagles rank in this continuity rankings? So a score of 100 would be you're bringing back head coach, both play callers, every player on your roster, and starting quarterback. That's not realistic. Every player who played a snap last year.
How are you weighting? Are the 5 different categories each weighted evenly?
Each have a third. Quarterback is a third. Coaching staff is a third. Roster is a third.
So you asked us on this podcast a few weeks ago how many fit that criteria, not with starters returning. And I believe the answer was 14. Was that right?
I think that's right, yeah.
Okay, so we know the Eagles are in the top 14.
Well, the Eagles probably, I think what happened is they caught wind that Sheil was doing this, and they were probably tied with somebody else. And then they decided, you know what? We don't want to be tied anymore. Get Vinny Curry on the phone. We got to break this tie.
By the way, we'll get to Vinny Curry in a minute once we address or we speak about this. I will go with 6.
That sounds like a good bet to me. I'll take the higher.
Let's see. What do you got? You gonna go 1 above or 1?
I'll go 1 above, meaning higher in the order. Like
just give me the number.
Better. I'll say 5.
5. Z Burn with the victory. Video
nice.
Zach is undefeated, baby. YouTube Zach is undefeated in the guessing games. They are number 10.
Why doesn't Bo get knocked for the game theory there, by the way? If that was me, if I went 5, I would hear about it for the next week.
No, I don't think so, because he had a decision to make. Like, if he thought it wasn't like you bet 2. I mean, if you would have bet 2 and he would have said 1, then yeah, we would crush him. But there was some space there where they could have been in the top 5, I think.
And we know that they were one of the 14 teams. So it wasn't 1 to 32. It was 1 to 14.
Yeah, but the 7 to 14 range and the 1 to 5 range, the game theory would suggest
it's slightly different odds, but I'm also trying to read Sheil's face.
The offense returns 73% of its snaps, which ranks 16th. The defense returns 63% of its snaps, which also ranks 16th. Because there's there's more turnover among defenses than the offenses.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Quickly, I wanted to get to a Matt Burke thing because Zach did a thing that Zach is very good at. And I think Sheil will appreciate this.
Zach, I don't know what this is.
Zach does the thing where he likes to show his homework a little bit on the question. He goes like, "Coach, tell me a little bit about what it was like when you were 24 years old as a Harvard assistant, and Jim Schwartz called you up and you interviewed for that coordinator, that quality control job. What was that like?" That's a good.
By the way, you are about 90% correct. I don't call them coach though. I say Matt or I say Jim or Doug. I'm not playing, so they're not my coach.
Game is not for suckers.
Will you do a nickname? Like if you were covering the Patriots, would you be like, "Yo, Stiddy, you've really been"?
No, I'm actually careful about that. The only nickname that I might have called LaShawn McCoy Shady a few times, as I'm thinking about it, but
because he earned it.
I never called Halapulavati Big V. Always called him Halapulavati.
I remember that. Yeah,
yes.
that was
I think your first appearance on Burns with Friends, your first mention on Burns with Friends, was giving you credit for doing that.
Oh, okay.
By the way, what I really like here is that Marissa was asking us about the comments, who wants to monitor them, and I said I would, and so generally I just don't pay attention to what's being said by either of you, but now I have an excuse that I'm monitoring the comments, so I'm all for these video setups.
You want to pay more attention? No, I don't.
Surprise. But now I can just, when you ask me something and I have no idea what you're talking about, I can just say I was monitoring the comments.
Fair enough. So what did you think of? I feel like I kind of liked a little bit of a Matt Burke. What did you think, Zach?
I mean, I don't profess to know someone over a 15-minute Zoom call.
Snap judgments. Come on.
No, certainly both Matt Burke and Aaron Moorhead from an interview perspective, I would say are good for us. And
if the bar if Carson Walsh is the bar here, they were.
Well, I was going to say they're both upgrades, but I enjoy talking to Philip Daniels as well.
So did I.
But I do think Aaron Moorhead, we have an upgrade there in terms of the interviews. And I would say Matt Burke, in terms of the anecdotes, certainly is an upgrade over Philip Daniels. But
did you think that Aaron Moorhead looked a little bit like Gabe Kapler?
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind when you said it, but maybe so.
It's the first thing I was in and out of those of him and Vinny Curry because
they called on you in Vinny Curry.
I know. Well,
one thing. Wait, more on this, please.
No. I imagine
I took my hand down right as they were about to call on me. That's tough. But one thing I really love about this whole setup is juggling the childcare with another working spouse and figuring out what times they're each going to be on, and then having a wrench thrown into it because we don't find out about when the press conferences are until a couple hours ahead of time. So it's a fun life these days.
So in the case of Vinny Curry, before we get onto our programming, I would just say that the question came up why he signed when he did, and he said that the death of his half brother due to COVID-19 back in the spring caused him, he was grieving and just put a pause on football at that point. And then
did we know that
about his
information?
Yes, that had been out there.
Okay.
Jeez.
And so he was talking about that. His brother was a principal and a coach, 46 years old, and so hit Vinny hard as one would imagine, and then he recently got the itch and he saw that he figured the NFL was a safe place based on the protocols in the buildings. And then he wanted to make that clear. And then he also said it wasn't a situation where he was just sitting around on the market. Like there have been teams interested, but every team understood the situation he was in. And he really thanked his teammates for being in touch with him basically every other day, checking in, seeing how he was doing.
And he also said, like, which I thought was a good question, the experience in Tampa Bay sort of colored things for him too. Like,
yes,
this is a guy who he knows he likes it in Philly. He grew up an Eagles fan. 1 year with the Bucs was probably enough for him to know that he didn't really want to be playing somewhere else.
I will give
shocked
credit
that his experience with Dirk Cutter was he didn't find that
well, I don't think
rewarding.
Was Dirk Cutter the head coach?
Wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Was he? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
When I said it's been out there, Jeff Mosher from Inside the Birds, he reported that about Curry.
Gotcha.
A few months ago.
Birds with Friends, a podcast, a media entity that properly attributes to other sources for information. Quite a thought. What up?
I know, that's right. Who's hosting Monday Night Football this year?
All right.
Sheil's work is done.
You want me to get to some comments here?
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay. Caro, I believe is, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, says hello to everyone. People seem to be excited to see everyone, but also to know that Marissa exists and that we didn't have like just some imaginary producer who we were talking about from time to time. Felipe is very excited for this. Let's see. Ryan, loyal listener, loves the shirt. Thank you, Ryan.
Dressed nicely for
a work
at home day.
I mean, you got to put on we're going on video. This is big.
Is that standard though, by the way? Is this what you wear every day, or is this just a special occasion?
What do you think? Yeah, no, I mean, unless I'm rocking my Indochino, then I usually just go casual. Matt is looking forward to the Roman live demo. Maybe I shouldn't have read that one out loud. I don't know. Let's see what else we got here. John has a suggestion for you, Bo, for these press conferences. It's kind of like a little middle school thing. You write a little note, write your question, pass it over to Z-Berm. Z-Berm asks your question for you.
That doesn't sound fair to Zach. Yeah, he's got his own.
Also, sometimes Bo gets in before me, by the way. It's not like a pecking order type thing.
Okay.
But that said, I did, every now and then, if Zach's working on a story, we're teammates, I'll double down on the question to get him a little bit more, a little bit more info, as with Fletcher Cox a couple weeks ago.
And they asked Bo first, so they called him Bo first. So Bo asked the question that I was going to ask. So then I did, and it actually worked out well for the story because I did just to follow up on that, and then he goes in a little more detail. So
that's the behind the scenes stuff that you only get with good teammates.
Hit him from both sides, exactly.
That's good. Who knew how much Sheil walked with his hands? I think he means talked with his hands. Do I talk with my hands a lot? I don't know.
I haven't noticed that.
Loyal listener and friend of the pod, Rich Bobby, says hello to everyone. And there we go. I'll get to the others in a little bit. Okay.
I do like this is, we've heard so much about Sheil's basement. It's fantastic to finally get to see it.
This is the best version of it. Trust me.
Well, fellas, are you prepared to unveil your summer bod? The beaches are opening, the sun is shining, and the bushes must be tamed. Manscaped is here to ensure your post-quarantine body is ready for the wild. Subscribe to the Perfect Package and get a new blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months. For a limited time, subscribers get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value add, and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code THEATHLETIC20 at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THEATHLETIC20, all one word, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code THEATHLETIC20. And for a limited time, subscribers get not 1 but 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. So go to manscaped.com and use code THEATHLETIC20. Zach, why don't you show us those Boxer Briefs?
I will pass on that one.
All right, let's get to a bit of a draft game-ish thing, a little training camp preview. Not a competitive draft because, we don't want the fisticuffs.
Yeah, we don't want me to really embarrass you guys again. So let's just
live
make it
episode.
light, friendly. Yeah, I agree.
We actually have a draft concept that will involve Bo and I. So Sheil's Sheil's pushed out of that one. And am I allowed to share what it is?
Oh, sure.
I don't think Bo knows what you're talking about.
I guess I think it now, but go ahead.
Oh, does it not make sense to do it? I thought it made sense to do it after we watched the players during camp.
What are you talking about? Why don't you say what you're talking about?
Okay, sorry. So I had texted Bo saying I have this idea for how to incorporate a draft in our coverage. This is a competitive one where we designate Carson Wentz as the steady quarterback. So you can't take the quarterback. And then you draft the team with the 80 players on the Eagles. Okay. It's the same way we did the Lurie era draft, but with the players on the team. You have,
it's a good exercise.
You have this scheme and this coaching staff and this quarterback. And the whole purpose of it is to kind of weigh who the most important players are, because there's some positions where they have depth, some positions that they don't. So after we get a chance to see these guys in camp, and obviously because of numbers, we can't do 3 of them.
It's a great idea too. Yeah. So I get to be the judge, obviously.
That'd be great, actually. Yes.
There you go.
So are you going to do this on a podcast or on The Athletic, or both?
Both. I was
mean,
thinking
probably double down the content. You know,
okay.
Keep that content churning.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm already thinking about who I'm going to take with the second overall pick after Zach takes Josh Sweat. All right, but for this, we're going to talk about just the storylines or players that we are most excited to see on the field next week. And the deal is we are probably going to have 2 weeks of open practices starting next Monday. Is that correct, Zach?
That is correct.
Okay, so Zach, as the loser of the last draft, why don't you get to go? Gosh. Why don't you get to go first this time?
Well, that is subjective.
I think I will say we'll go 3 or 4 rounds. We'll see how much juice we've got on this bad boy.
So the first thing I want to see is Darius Slay. I want to see Darius Slay out there. Jim Schwartz had mentioned that coming out of the huddle in camp, they're going to have Slay pick a receiver and follow that receiver. Now it's not as if it's following Julio Jones, but it's that concept in mind. So we are finally going to see the beginning stages of how this defense will look with Slay following a wide receiver.
I will predict that one of the storylines of the next 2 weeks will be a majority of beat writers discussing how good Darius Slay looks. Like this is a corner who can cover better than any corner we've seen on the Eagles since I don't even know who the comparison would be. But I think his skill set, I learned very early in my
is this guy blanketing JJ Arcega-Whiteside all over the field.
No, I mean, I remember one thing I learned early on was like, and I screwed this up big. It was because I screwed it up, was that during like an OTAs, I don't even remember who the running back was, but I was like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. He's got all kinds of juice, catching the ball, making guys miss. But there are certain guys who are, their skill set fits, kind of a non-padded practice. And so I could see Darius Slay just blanketing guys, breaking up passes, getting interceptions, his teammates being really excited, maybe a pick six, star of camp every day, and the expectations reaching a very high level. But then we'll see, and maybe it will continue during the regular season, maybe it will not. But I think he's going to be kind of first on the hype train over the next 2 weeks.
And the flip side to that, and I'll just take the second pick here, is there are guys with that skill set where it matters if they don't flash right away. And to that point, I'm taking Jalen Reagor because the Eagles need Jalen Reagor to be a part of the offense right away. And Jalen Reagor has had, no spring, and he's jumping into things. First of all, I want to see, is he, working with the first team offense right away? Are they going from jump with that? And 2, like, does he look good? He needs to look like the guy with the most juice on the field, really, because Deshaun Jackson is not going to be running full speed all the time. So, if Jalen Reagor looks like he's playing at a different speed, that's a very good sign for the offense, or it's at least like a check mark. And if he doesn't, then, all of a sudden we're worried again about whether the Eagles have enough explosiveness on offense.
Yeah, you guys had, I had I didn't put them into tiers. I don't think anyone would expect me to do that kind of preparation or work for this podcast, but just writing them down on
I don't even have a board. I'm going off the dome on this.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, once we get to the 4th round, just skip me and move on. But I did have Rager and Slay as 2 of my top 3. I think Rager will be sort of the offensive equivalent of what I just said with Slay. But I think it's obviously more important for him because he should come in, and based on what they're saying and based on his skill set, he should be looking really, really good in camp, unless it's taking him time to sort of process the offense and that kind of thing. But I think there will be a lot of hype around Jalen Rager also in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I think that would probably be my number 1. I would want to see Jalen Rager, what he looks like, where he's playing, what they're asking him to do, what's his chemistry like with Carson Wentz, all those different types of things. Maybe we'll see Darius Slay travel and cover Jalen Rager. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
One-on-ones or something, or a little red zone or anything like that. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but then also like Doug being in Slay's ear, like, don't ruin this guy's confidence. We need this guy.
Yeah.
Let him have one.
Could be the case.
Maybe he'll try to tackle him. That's a Jimmy Kempski.
I don't think he's got to worry about that. I will go with Andre Dillard. Obviously, like it's not a offensive lineman. It can be a little bit more challenging in this environment. It's really the wide receivers, the pass catchers, the defensive backs, the quarterback. Those are the guys you're watching more. But there will be a couple padded practices. I mean, we'll get to see what is that interaction like with Jeff Stoutland and Andre Dillard. What's Dillard look like? How is he taking to coaching? He had a little bit of a breakdown, of course, last year during the one practice. Are there defensive linemen who are pushing him? Are they testing him? Is Jim Schwartz and Doug Peterson, are they telling the defensive linemen to do that, to get him ready for what the regular season is going to be like? Or do they say, take it easy? We really need this guy's confidence to be high. And so specifically during those padded practices, I would have my eye on Andre Dillard because they're just, the 3 guys we mentioned, I talked about the continuity stuff. Like, these are the 3 guys they need to be really good this year. If those 3 guys are really good with what you're bringing back, I do think there's a high ceiling on this team. If they're not, it's a huge hole that could really devastate parts of your season.
I think that's well said. If we get, are we going to get another Barnett Dillard fight? Or are we going to get I guess we can get to a potential fight as a draft pick later on in the draft. So. But yeah, I think that's right. And then the corollary to that is it indeed nothing but Dillard at left tackle and Peters at right guard, which is what I would expect at least to start.
That would be quite a wrinkle if Jason Peters was just out there at left, or like I liked your joke before where you said Dillard's not looking and Peters just slides over there. No one tells him to move.
It's going to be the practice in the bubble where there's fewer reporters, and it's going to be on the pool reporter to notice that Andre Dillard has buried that Jason Peters has buried Andre Dillard under the mat. Do you want to go again, or are we snaking this bad boy?
Yeah, you got to snake it. You can be the 3rd pick and then not snake it.
All right, the NFL draft? Of course you snake it.
I've got a couple that I'm choosing from here. Which one is kind of, I'll go with this one. Maybe it's a little more under the radar. I would like to see what Jalen Mills looks like at safety. This is a big position change, a guy who's coming back from your defense, but in a totally different role. Is it the Malcolm Jenkins role? Do we just see him up in the box covering tight ends, playing the run, or do we see him and Rodney McLeod interchangeable? Is Jalen Mills playing the deep middle at all, or is the offense bombing the ball downfield and there's confusion and safeties and corners are looking at each other saying, what's going on here? He is in a big spot. Bad safety play can really get you exposed, can really make you give up a lot of big plays, can really ruin parts of your defense. So there are parts of this I think that are going to be easy for Jalen Mills. I don't think he's going to be as good as Malcolm Jenkins in terms of playing the run, but I do think he's going to be fine there. I think he can match up with tight ends, but sort of the other stuff is a little bit what I'm interested in with him.
And again, the other thing on that is Schwartz, I think, said, that as he said, is an open competition. Will Parks is supposedly coming for that job too.
Don't you come on? What are you using? We got a draft to get through.
But here. I feel like Mills and that goes together. No, you got to separate Will Parks. You're going to draft Will Parks.
Make your own pick. That's your pick, Will Parks.
That's not my pick.
All right, Zach, you're up.
That's a big second-round pick, man.
I am taking. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm taking the Jalen Hurts experience. I've got Jalen and Jalen, and I don't expect that we're going to see anything. They're not going to be showing us anything of like Jalen Hurts with the first team offense. Maybe like one day just to get the reporters tweeting about it, and so the week one opponent has to prepare. But I want to see how he throws the ball. Is he working with the second team or the third team? My understanding of Jalen Hurts is that he's probably more of a gamer than a look great throwing the ball in practice when the bullets aren't live kind of guy. So how does he look? He's not going to be working with a great group of second and third team receivers. So what does he make of that? And just what's the overall Jalen Hurts experience like on the field?
What's the most excited you've seen a team be about a second or third string quarterback at a training camp?
Carson Wentz, 2016.
Really?
Yes.
I have a very clear one in my head. Michael Vick first joining the team. I mean, guy's been out of football.
Yeah.
I have never seen teammates hoot and holler for a guy like that who just with the like sort of, the special plays he was making, whether he was juking guys, his speed, his arm, it was crazy because, I mean, they had all played like video games with Michael Vick before, and all of a sudden he's out of prison. He's on their team, and like the guy looked, physically looked unbelievable. Like he looked like he was different than all these top level athletes. I just remember then thinking, man, if he gets to a certain level where he looks competent, like the locker room will just want this guy to be quarterback.
Cue up Bo mentioning his team right now. Yes.
Well, that's exactly right. All those guys were thinking this guy is going to lead the Jeff Wheeler Eagle champion. I remember I have a specific vivid memory of him like juking a linebacker out of his shorts, but I can't remember who that linebacker was. So
I mean, I don't remember anything.
Story.
Sheil, I do have a Laurie era draft question here while we were talking about Vic.
You guys, you can't let it go.
No. So I take Foles as my backup quarterback.
Yeah.
You have the next pick. Did you consider going Vic there?
You should have.
To box Bo out, and then
you would have ended the draft there.
Like Bo wouldn't have had a quarterback then. It would have been what, Garcia and Cunningham?
Yeah, probably? You would have ended me.
I think I did end you, to be clear. I think I brought it up during the draft, right?
You should have followed through.
But then I just looked at my roster and I said, I mean, he can have anybody he wants. It doesn't matter. I have such a big lead at this point that he's screwed. Now, going back for entertainment value, yes, I think that would have been more fun if I would have boxed him out. And then he would have really been selling us on Randall. I've got Randall as my backup, but man, Bo would have been breaking out those Vikings clips of him throwing the ball to Randy Moss and telling us, imagine this guy with John. Well, I guess, no, that would have really screwed you because you couldn't have sold us on Randall Cunningham and John Gruden because that's what we saw and it didn't work. Oh man. All right. Now that I'm rethinking it, yes, I would have done that.
My one pick I would do over is I would have taken Lane Johnson when I took Brian Westbrook. That's my only.
I would have taken
my only real regret.
Willie T. I had multiple shots where I was about to take Willie T and didn't. That was a mistake.
A quick John Gruden, Randall Cunningham anecdote. I was reading Vic Tafer's story on. Am I pronouncing it correctly? I'm sorry. I make that mistake every time. I apologize. Okay. Vic Tafur. I was reading Vic Tafor's story on Nelson Aguilar. Good piece. On how this was always meant to be for him to team up with Gruden, and Gruden has a quote in there about how talented Aguilar is, and he said you probably won't read about it in the Philadelphia Inquirer, referencing like his Philadelphia. But he said
not anymore.
No, but he said he said but Randall Cunningham had to leave Philadelphia. Maybe the same thing will happen with Nelson Aguilar.
What does
that mean?
Like basically that Cunningham had the second life after leaving Philly.
Yeah, John, he left Philadelphia after you were coaching him.
Exactly. Yes. I was thinking that when
you
I read
benched him, John.
But it was
and then he led the Vikings to the NFC. Oh man, what a follow-up! What a retort that would have been.
Doesn't he work? Isn't he like the team chaplain now?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow, that's amazing. Now
what wrote that piece?
Yes. Yeah, there is a story on that as well. Now, I didn't get to read the Aguilar story yet. Why did John Gruden say like this was meant to be with him and Aguilar?
Yeah, so this is an interesting story. I would recommend our subscribers going over and reading it. But as our listeners know, Nelson's from Tampa and has a history with Gruden. A matter of fact, I found this interesting. I didn't know this.
This is very funny. I saw this.
Yeah, so Gruden used to get coffee at a gas station where Nelson's brother worked.
Oh,
it was a gas station. I thought it was a track, like a horse track.
Oh, a horse track. Okay.
That's what I thought it was. I could be wrong. That's what he was getting his morning coffee at the horse track.
I thought it was a gas. It was something about stopping for gas, maybe on the way to the track. I don't know. But it was something with Nelson's brother, and so they had formed the bond, and then also Nelson's high school coach at Berkeley Prep,
Dom Asai.
It's CIAO, I believe. So.
It's Sayao.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. I went to Berkeley Prep for a story. Yeah.
Yes.
That did not turn out very well.
But they have a background too, so it was a neat story. I enjoyed reading it.
I watched 14 hours of high school volleyball. Didn't really lead to much.
Volleyball is so fun to watch. I covered
the number one high school sport. It was fantastic.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I did men's and women's. Unbelievable. Athlete.
I watched the high school football game. Not interested at all.
Yeah,
the volleyball tournament was fantastic.
So I am up here, and I will go with the cornerback competition, opposite Slay. So that's Avonte Maddox, Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas competing for that starting spot. And then also the competition to start at linebacker. And the quick context that I will
These are back-to-back picks?
These are back-to-back picks. Okay. The quick context that I will give to our listeners is in a typical year, there are 3 weeks of practice we get to watch. The first 2 weeks, and then the week between the first 2 preseason games. And then after that second preseason game, that's when teams start to prepare for the season. So they always say, we're going to put our depth chart in place week 3 of the preseason. And that's the week that we don't usually get to watch them. So oftentimes you don't get to see who that starter is. You find out about it from word of mouth. Obviously, with no preseason and with the training camp being the way it is, we will see the competition in front of our eyes. And those are really the only 2 spots that are up for grabs, I would say. The starting cornerback spots and then both linebacker spots, but really the linebacker spot next to Nate Gary.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say my favorite football coach move during training camp is a press conference where someone asks about the depth chart starters. And they say, well, we don't have a depth chart. Come on, it's the middle of August. We got a long way to go. And then 5 minutes later, they're going ones out
there. Exactly. Chip used to say depth charts in sand, but then he was like the starters. Yeah. So
then he put Deshaun on the second team and crazy. So that didn't work out very well.
Exactly.
Great story. Great news break there by Tim McManus on that story. I remember.
Along those lines, this is not my.
He just pours salt.
I know. He loves to throw T-Mac in. This is not my pick, but just to follow up on what you were saying. I mean, the Eagles have more safeties in camp than they have linebackers right now. They have 8 safeties and 7 linebackers on the roster.
It's a great stat.
So I am curious to see. I mean, I think we're going to see more dime than we ever have from them. So I'm curious to see, is that Crevon LeBlanc as the 6th defensive back, or I think more likely is it Will Parks or even Kayvon Wallace.
Is so excited to pick Will Parks at some point here.
I'm not picking Will Parks, but I'm curious to see. Like, are we doing these?
This is like a flirtation, the likes of which I've never seen before. My gosh, just admit you like somebody.
I mean, everyone knows I like a full sentence all-star, but that's not where I'm going.
All right, so now that Bo's covered 3 other storylines, what's his pick?
Well, aren't we supposed to use this time to talk about the things?
Absolutely not. We're supposed to get in and get out as fast as possible so we can move on with our lives.
A quick question for Marissa here. My computer's unplugged. I need to plug it in. If I put it on stop video for a second. If I do stop video, is it going to screw up the whole YouTube?
Oh, I think it will screw it all up.
All right, so you'll just see me leave the spot for 1 second.
Yeah, why don't you just leave?
Oh, this is exciting.
Okay.
Take your headphones off.
No, I'm literally plugging this in. There's nothing sinister.
Okay.
We can still see you. Don't do something untoward.
Yeah, I mean, you're on camera, buddy.
This came out. Plug it in.
Do we need to get to another word from our sponsor or no?
This is a good time, I think, to get to a word from our sponsor. Let's hear from, as you can see, for those of you watching on video, the best dressed man, probably in America.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, I'm Sheil Kapadia, co-host of Birds with Friends. Having clothes that fit just right can be a huge confidence booster. Just think about how good you feel when you throw on that go-to shirt or that go-to pair of pants. And then, well, there's the opposite, the shirt that bunches up when you tuck it in or the pants that are too short. No one wants to go out looking or feeling like that. Well, Indochino was started on the belief that custom clothing should not cost a fortune. They had me go through the online process, and it couldn't have been easier. I did it with my 7-year-old daughter. We took all the measurements together. We filled them in. She told me what colors would look good on me. It was a fantastic experience. You get to pick out the collars, whether you want a pocket on the shirt, all those different types of things. With Indochino, you can get made-to-measure clothing at fair prices, including suits, blazers, shirts, and coats. The best part, Indochino suits start at just $2.99, all customizations included. Indochino has showrooms across North America, or you can book a virtual appointment and shop online at Indochino.com. And right now, you can get an extra $30 off any purchase of $3.99 or more at Indochino.com when entering promo code SHEIL, SHEIL, at checkout. That's Indochino.com, promo code SHEIL.
There you go.
All right. On that note, I want to get through some of these comments. Then I feel like we should wrap up the draft so we could get to Zach's game, since we have a.
We'll go speed round through the last 5 picks.
Zach, I know you put work into that. You've prepared.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Bo doesn't care. All right.
The game's meant to promote the game is meant to promote Bo's story. So.
We got half an hour. We can go. We'll go speed round.
Jordan says, "Imagine the Lurie draft with video." Oh, baby, we could have got a lot of sponsorships for that bad boy. Kev wants to know: is Danelle Ellerbee the best Eagles free agent linebacker signing in the past 5 years?
Well, 5 years counts Bradham.
Okay.
I think.
So the answer is no.
Yeah.
All right. Gene likes my shirt. Indochino, Gene. You can look.
Is that an Indochino shirt?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But they have some that look just like this and are high quality.
That's a great transition right there.
Rich Bobby says, Bo, that's a quality Yeti. Are you drinking from a Yeti?
This is the Rich Bobby Yeti.
Oh, that bad boy is fantastic. Rich Bobby, what a guy. People want to know what I was drinking. I didn't have time to make. I usually have my afternoon espresso or half a cup of coffee. I didn't have time to make that, so I settled for a little iced green tea, and it seems to be doing the trick here. All right.
I'm double dipping a coffee and a Wegmans ginger seltzer.
You're drinking those both at the same time?
Yes.
That's disgusting. What's the matter with you?
I'm not mixing them together. They're not like cohabitating.
No, you drink a coffee.
Sometimes you need a little bit of a refresher. Sometimes you need a little pick-me-up.
That's psychotic behavior. Frank wants to know, 10 minutes in and no one comments about Bo's haircut. We've got Clark Griswold in the flesh. Now you've gotten that. You've gotten that before, right?
Yeah, young Chevy Chase. It's
I
about
think it
the
does look
spot.
great. You look great. All right, let's see. Khalif is rating us all on our setups. He says, judging by their outfits, it's very clear that Sheil put the most stock into this historic event. Crisp button-up, chrome over the years, 8 out of 10. Thank you, Khalif. I agree with you. Mediocre showing with the casual thin polo from Bo. This isn't a garden party, 6.5 out of 10. I don't know what a garden party is, but I love that.
You know what I love? Well, go ahead, finish the.
And then we got Zach. Is Z-Berm in a hoodie? TJ headphones? Disappointing. Bonus points for the slick setup with the chrome frame and recessed lighting. I like a white couch a little more than you do. Disappointing. 6 out of 10.
Fair enough. I'm in my basement here as opposed to where I usually.
Nice. Wow. Nice basement. Yeah. I thought that was like your living room.
Our living room is our basement. Yeah.
Oh, so that's good too.
Yes.
One thing I really love about these days is taking my window to shower and then going outside, walking Casey around in the stroller and just being a puddle of sweat like 1 block later because it's so humid outside. It's fun these days.
Okay. Carol says, thank you, Marissa, for putting up with these losers. I'll mention that. Chris says this is next level podcasting. Audio only will never suffice going forward. That's loyal listener Chris. Let's see here.
What kind of numbers we got right now?
We got 85 people watching.
Oof.
16 likes.
We're gonna bump that up.
Yeah, that's
and 70
I'll never
subscribers. I think that's pretty good for our
for day one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we can keep going here so we get to the rest of the stuff.
All right, I'll go quickly. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, is he alive? Is he a part of the first team offense? Does he look like he is an NFL player?
That's a good one. That was on my list. And I'll stick with the receivers. How about a little, John Hightower, Quez Watkins. These, then the Eagles are sort of feeding stuff. This is off the record, but in a normal year, those guys would have been second round picks. Let me tell you, this is not for attribution, but let's say it's always fun to have a back of the roster wide receiver who shows some juice in training camp.
And as you talked about, these are the scenarios in which one of those guys needs to shine.
And I think we said last year, Bo, or maybe the last 2 years, we're like, this training camp sucks. There's no back of the roster.
Yeah, like Carlton Agudosi is not getting it done for us.
Right. Okay. Oh, and I have to go again to wrap up.
Yeah.
This is kind of underrated. I look forward to seeing one of you tweet out a picture of Jason Peterson between Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work. It might not, but that's kind of fun. I mean, these are three legendary players for this franchise, really three of the best offensive linemen in franchise history, lining up from center to right tackle. I want to see what Peters looks like, what he's doing, and how those three are working together.
Yeah, setting aside the initial reactions, it's going to be fun to watch Peters try to play right guard. Yeah. My last one is my favorite part of training camp, and that is finding my third team offensive line crush. I mean, one of these guys is going to pop for me. Is it going to be Luke Juriga? Is it going to be Julian Good-Jones? Is Sua Opeta going to continue his strong place in my heart? We got to find out, which of these guys I like.
Are all those real people?
They are.
Okay.
And I will round it out by going with the quarterback. It's funny that we don't usually talk about that this whole offseason, really, Carson Wentz has not been a big topic. In these calls with Doug Peterson, Carson's name doesn't usually come up. He's the franchise. I want to see how he looks. I want to see how he's adapting to any changes, however subtle they may be in the offense. I want to see him go deep to these receivers. How does Carson Wentz look? The stronger buffer, if you will, Carson Wentz.
There you go.
Very good.
All right, ZB, tee us up with your game.
So this really is, and I say this with sincerity, I really enjoyed Bo's piece on the offense, the facts, information about the offense. What was it, 7,000 words, Bo?
Yeah, a little bit over.
And the defense is next.
Not an efficient use of time.
No, it's a really good piece. You can find morsels of information that you can use all year on these players. But I thought it would be a fun exercise to pick out information from this story. And this is how the game is set up. So I am going to ask Sheil, or I'm going to read 3 passages to Sheil. So 3 players, a passage on each player. 2 of them are from Bo's piece, and then 1 is from a different piece that has appeared on The Athletic, not by Bo.
Wow, good synergy from all The Athletic.
Sheil has to pick which one was not written by Bo in this piece. Does that make sense?
I think I understand. Let's see. Let's give
how well does Sheil know Bo? I feel like you better do well on this, otherwise I'm going to be very disappointed.
All I know is Zach said he has a game where Sheil don't read Bo 7,000 and I said, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it.
And so the purpose
that's what I needed was not to get at least one more reader.
So the purpose of this game really is to give you a sense of the type of information Bo is providing here.
Okay.
So we'll start with quarterbacks. Wentz has the 6th lowest interception percentage over the last 3 seasons, but his 34 fumbles during that span are tied with Jameis Winston for most in the league. Sudfeld. I, for one, am rooting for Sudfeld to pull a page out of his childhood friend's book and show up to camp looking like he spent quarantine mainlining hamburger milkshakes, throwing deep on every play, and blaming incompletions on the dragonflies buzzing near his face. And then Hurts. Hurts did lead all college players with 17 red zone touchdowns last year, and his legs could provide a means of lessening a smidge of the physical toll taken by Wentz.
All right. So wait, two of these sentences were written by Bo.
Yes.
And a third was written by somebody, but it wasn't Bo?
Yes. A third was on The Athletic somewhere else.
Was it potentially me or you?
Yes. They're all me or you. Actually.
Oh, they're all me or you.
Oh, they're all. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. This is tough because I was thinking that.
And they're mostly you, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh,
like 5 of the 6 are you.
Don't tell them that.
This is a great game because you know that I don't remember anything that I do or anyone else does. All right. Well, the Nate Sudfeld one is definitely Bo because Bo texted us and asked about what's the guy's name?
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau. So I know that's Bo.
They grew up across the street from each other. Good buddies.
Okay. And the other two, I don't feel like I feel like I definitely have looked up the Wentz thing with the interception rate and the fumbles and the Jameis Winston thing sounds familiar. And so I'm going to say that was me and that the Jalen Hurts one was Bo.
That is correct.
That's
correct.
All right.
That's from your nerd guide.
Okay. Well,
running backs.
I like great games. Actually.
Okay, I was worried the game wouldn't be very good.
No, I love this. Yeah,
okay.
this really it plays to our personalities because if it were anyone else, it would be easy. But I don't remember anything, so it's good.
And the best news for the listeners, I'm not involved.
I know that's right.
Miles Sanders. Including the playoffs, Sanders finished his rookie season with 1,178 all-purpose yards, or 0.669 of a mile. The Eagles are ready to watch that odometer rise. Boston Scott. The Eagles don't believe how Scott played in December was a mirage or simply a hot streak, but rather an indication that he can be a weapon for the offense. Elijah Holyfield. Only 12 running backs since 1999 ran a 40-yard dash at the combine in 4.75 seconds or slower and ended up rushing for a single yard in the NFL, not since the immortal Aaron Stecker has one carved out an extensive career.
All right. Well, Holyfield has Bo written all over him.
Yes.
And then I will say the other two, I think Miles Sanders was Bo, and Zach, I believe I remember you writing. I think that was you who wrote that about Boston Scott, if memory serves.
Yes. Good job,
See?
Bo.
You guys think I don't pay attention? Look at me. I'm crushing this. I'm nailing this.
And that is the last one here that's not written by Sheil, by the way. The rest of them.
You shouldn't give that away. You should make him think that he doesn't remember his own writing.
Sheil has unfortunately has not written much yet about Boston Scott, but the time is going to come.
I like a Boston Scott. I do wonder, like, one storyline going into the offseason and camp is how much stock did they put into like that last month of the season? Because my impression this offseason is that they put like a lot of stock into that. Like they thought that they found some kind of formula of Carson Wentz taking over the team, not having a lot of having sort of young guys around him, not strong personalities where it was clear he was the leader. And,
under center play action.
Yeah, schematically and sort of big picture. And so generally that's a bad thing to do, is to put a lot of stock into 4 games that ended your season to put you at 9 wins. But so I don't know. I'm just, I like assigning you guys work. So, in case you're stuck and it's like August 28th and you don't have a story idea, maybe that pops into your head.
And I didn't, we didn't, nobody picked like offensive scheme changes in the draft that we just did, but I think we all sort of understand that they're not going to show us too much while it's open.
I don't know. Do you agree with that? Like, you're going to be watching the entire practice. What, they're not going to
they don't have much time not to.
Legs to not do it because they're afraid everyone knows what they're going to do. Look at who they brought in the offseason. I mean, maybe you won't see, I don't know. I think you're going to see like.
I think they still keep it. I mean, it's like basic stuff that they already run. They're going to show like getting that stuff down. And then I think they put in, weekly game plan stuff that we don't get to see.
NFL paranoia.
Should we talk a little bit? Should we talk a little football guy? What's been going on this week?
Yeah, let's hear it.
In the middle. I mean, this nonsense from the UMass coach. Did you see this? You guys heard about this? You see this?
I saw the quote. Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely unhinged stuff. He said, finding out the season was canceled was basically worse than when both of his parents died. So, that's a well-adjusted individual who you want to entrust the lives of young men to. And
this is one of those where we're live and I just don't want to respond. So seriously though, a tip of the hat with a headbutt to one of the immortal football guys, Howard Mudd, who passed. I think when I think of a football guy, I can't think of anybody more suited to that than Howard Mudd. And the thing that I remember him most for, I can't say on the air. Okay. Well, yeah, I remember, I have fond memories of Howard Mudd. I remember those training camps at Lehigh where it was him and Jim Washburn.
Fantastic.
The words coming out of their mouths should not be repeated by anybody, but you could tell it was like two old guys who were just like, you know what, we're best friends. We're coaching on the same team, and like, let's piss our guys off and really like get after this. And they just had a blast with it. I remember that. And maybe you guys can remind me of this one. Now that I think it was Andy's last season, but I'm not sure, where they had like a late season win. And I remember like an image of Howard Mudd and Andy Reid, like going into the tunnel, and Mudd had like his arm around him. And somebody on Twitter said that Mudd like apologized to Andy for like the way the season went, and basically
it was after the last
game.
So
Les Bowen put that out last night.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
That it was after the final game of the Reid era. They lost at the Meadowlands to the Giants, and it was a bad loss. We all knew it was the end really for Andy. And as they're walking off the field, Mudd had his arm around Andy.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember that scene. And then two other ones that I remember are when I was in Seattle. Howard Mudd actually lived in the same town as me in Kirkland, Washington, a great town in the suburbs of Seattle. And so he had a book coming out, and so he was like on Twitter and stuff. And so I reached out to him and I said, I'm doing these like film breakdowns. Could I give you a call and you help me out? And it was awesome. I mean, he just like was unloading on players. I mean, saying stuff that I could not print about like the linebacker's courage of wanting to make a tackle, basically. And, and here I'm thinking like the Seahawks had some kind of wrinkle with their offensive scheme. And he's just like, you can write what you want, but they're not doing anything special here. Like, this is just terrible defense type thing. And so I felt you could just tell at that point, like, he was in no rush to get off the phone. Like, he would have talked to me for 2 hours. I could have kept adding plays. He was not in the league anymore, but you could just tell like he was just a lifer. And and then I called him in Philadelphia. I don't know if it was 2017 or 2018, doing another film breakdown. I think it was when things weren't going great for the Eagles. So it might've been 2018. And I think there was a sack, and he's just like, it looked like there was some confusion before the snap. And, I was like, all right, so, Kelsey Wentz communication or something. He's like, that's not on Kelsey. Kelsey's way too smart to make a mistake like that. He's like, that's on the quarterback all the way. And so it kind of went full circle. I remember my first, when he first got here, the big thing was as soon as Kelsey got there, he was like, Kelsey's starting over Jamal Jackson. Basically.
Right. Yes.
That was his guy. And, they obviously had a great relationship. I know when the Seahawks hosted the Eagles, that Mudd went to like the Eagles team hotel to see Kelsey and to see other people there. And he said he was giving him like tips in the lobby, I remember. So yeah, it's just sad. It seems like you kind of see an outpouring from like the football community for him, kind of this legendary offensive line coach. And so, all the best to his family.
Well
said. I talked to him a couple of years ago for the Jason Peters story, and it was the same. He was happy to talk for as long as possible. And then there was this story of how Peters and he had gotten to this like huge yelling match in the beginning of camp because this was a totally new scheme. He was teaching Peters a different way to do things, and Peters was like already on the Hall of Fame track, doesn't really want to change what he's doing, and they just had it out. And he didn't want, like, after he'd telling me that, he didn't want to go further into it because he could tell his senses were that I would make too much of it, like, because it wasn't a big deal, because then they became very tight. But it was funny. And Kelsey was like, he was a rookie. I remember thinking, like, I didn't know you could talk to a coach that way. Like, never heard anything like that.
You probably can't, by the way.
You probably can't.
Yeah.
So that was funny. I always feel like a little unseemly, like tweeting out a story after a guy dies. Like, don't you think it's like, it's not really about.
I did it. I don't know.
I liked what Sheil did last
night. No. Yeah, you didn't link to a story. Yeah. You like told your story. Like I didn't want to like look at this. It feels like a little.
Unless you wrote like some type of long.
Right. If it gives insight on who the person is. Yeah, absolutely. It's memorializing them essentially. Yeah.
All right, back to your game. We've still got 11 minutes.
All right, I will be quick here. Wide receivers, Deshaun Jackson. His mom may not be the most reliable narrator, but Jackson seems to be following through on some of the steps laid out following his anti-Semitic Instagram post in July. Arthega Whiteside was named Gatorade Player of the Year in South Carolina but he was not heavily recruited. Some programs questioned his speed. Quez Watkins. There have been a 500% increase this century in NFL players with the initials QW.
That's Sheil all the way.
All right. So Quez Watkins is Bo, and Deshaun Jackson is Bo, because I
see, if you hadn't told him that the rest were Sheil, he might have thought that was you.
Yeah, true.
No, I don't know Zach would be taking a shot at
Deshaun's mom.
Yeah.
Just saying, it's not like.
All right, let's move on. We're live.
And the JJ one is of course from Sheil's story down South Carolina last year.
Body curse, yeah.
You should all read.
Yeah.
Well,
you got both of them.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't do Miles Sanders. Yeah.
I didn't do a Rager story this summer on purpose.
Tight ends. Ertz. He's a little embarrassed to admit it, but a few years ago, Ertz decided to change the passcode on his phone to 1327. That's Rob Gronkowski's record for most receiving yards in a season by a tight end. Goddard, prorated over 15 games because he missed a game himself. That would have given Goddard a year with 97.5 catches and 1,170 receiving yards, which would have been more receiving yards than every tight end in the league except for Travis Kelce. And then Noah Tangiai. In the pecking order of measurable achievement on the court, Tangiai is a top 2 player in the locker room, and guess what? He ain't 2.
Well, I can assure you that I have not written about her since last week. I was asking you guys about who this person was, so I know that one's Bo. And Goddard, I also believe is Bo, and I think Ertz.
I feel like that's one of the few things you actually do remember from a story of yours. The Ertz password, thing.
Yeah. So Ertz was me. Marissa alerts us that according to an NFL Network report, the Chiefs and Travis Kelce are close to a long-term extension. Of course, George Kittle, that news broke this morning. And of course, who's number 3 that is being mentioned as a potential.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that?
Zach Ertz is next.
Is Zach
you think
Ertz?
It's going to happen like imminently?
I don't know imminently, but I do believe those two getting their contracts gives Ertz the ballpark for where he'll shoot for. So I think that kind of sets the ceiling, I would say. He might not say the ceiling, but it sets the ceiling. And then I think he'll come in over Hooper, under Kittle, and Kelce.
Under Kelce too?
Yes, is my guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see. Right. I think that's right. I just don't see any reason for the Eagles to do that until they have another year of information. There's 2 years left on his deal and 2 years left on Goddard's deal. I don't know. What if he tears his ACL this year? He has 2 years left on his deal. So they have both of these guys with 2 years left. Why make the decision now?
Well, it would give them cap relief, right? I mean, I would have to relook, but it would.
To do what? Sign Everson Griffin?
Exactly. You're not doing that now. So they have enough to get through the season, I believe. So it could be something they would do after the season. I don't know. I mean, yeah, your point is right. If you wanna operate by maintaining optionality and flexibility, which they've gotten into trouble sometimes not doing that, then you would just wait. I mean, what if, like you said, what if Zach Ertz, we all like Zach Ertz, we don't want him to get injured. What if he were to miss 6 games, and in those 6 games, Dallas Goedert averages 125 receiving yards per game? I mean, are you going to sink money into both those guys when they're, both their contracts are up? So on the other hand, it's like, this is the quarterback's best friend. He's been productive. He's been durable, all the intangibles, everything off the field, immersed into a leadership role, hard worker. Those are the guys you typically reward, but when do you reward them? And if one of the reasons for not, bringing in a DeAndre Hopkins was because you didn't want to redo his contract. So if you redo Ertz's, are there going to be other people in there who say redo mine also?
Well, I think that was more their logic, was that if they did redo Hopkins, what does that say to guys like Ertz and Cox, who in theory are expecting new deals?
Because we just made your life a lot easier.
This is an incredible tweet that Marissa just sent this from Tom Pelissero. The Seahawks cut rookie cornerback Kima, I believe, Severin this week after he was caught on video trying to sneak a female visitor into the team hotel. However, the follow-up tweet is outstanding. The woman was wearing Seahawks gear in an attempt to disguise her as a player, I'm told.
Wow.
It did not work.
That's pretty good. I mean, I respect the hustle.
I kind of respect.
Funny.
Yeah, they should sign him, I would say.
Yeah.
Creativity. Those are all the guys I would have on my team. Yeah. That's a great effort.
You're not going to make it through the season.
All right.
We got 2 left?
Yes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, tackles and interior line. I will plow through these. Okay. And these ones are probably a little bit harder. Lane Johnson. Johnson finished last season 6th among tackles in snaps per blown block, 64.5 snaps per blown block, according to Football Outsiders Almanac 2020. Andre Dillard. Sports Info Solutions had Dillard down for a blown block on 11.1% of his passing snaps. That ranked last of the 92 offensive tackles who played at least 100 snaps. And then Prince Tega Wanogo. The Eagles released undrafted defensive back Prince Smith on Friday, dropping them from 2 Princes to 1. I would have made a bad spin doctor's joke here, but I won't actually go ahead now.
I saw you tweet that joke, Bo, about Prince, and I wanted to respond. Like, how did you ever previously have a job like advising on social media? Was going to be like, I can just imagine you advising these clients. Well, here's what I would do in this situation. And then being like, what the hell? All right. So I have not written about Prince, so I know that's all.
That's
right. And I haven't cited the Football Outsiders Almanac yet. So I know that one is about Bo, and I was the Andre Dillard one.
Correct. Okay. And so then last one here, interior offensive line. Peters showed signs of declining, but his rate of blown blocks on passing plays was 2.9%, which ranked 32nd. Isaac Seumalo. Football Outsiders charted Seumalo as having the fifth most blown blocks in 2019 among interior offensive linemen, though he's punished in that counting stat for playing all 16 games. And then my favorite one here, Nate Herbig. In the Eagles media guide, Nate Herbig's answer to surprisingly good at is floating in water, which means one of two things. Either he's so much better than the rest of us at floating in water as to be truly remarkable, or several people over the course of Herbig's life have come up to him and said something to the effect of, I bet you can't float in water, dude.
I mean, wait, is that true? That's what it says?
Yeah.
What's the description?
Surprisingly good at, and his answer is floating in water.
Wow, that's outstanding. I am gonna have to read this if it has more nuggets like that.
Yes.
Herbig was Bo. Seumalo was Bo.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the other one?
Peters was you.
Yeah.
Peters was me.
In the nerd guide for the Eagles.
Those were great nuggets. Yeah, I feel like we got a little learned about these players.
Now you can finally read that story, Sheil.
Now I'll read it. I'll read it and promote it.
You can use that printer in the background to print out all 7,200 words.
I know that printer doesn't even work. Like, what are we doing here? We can't get. We got to keep a printer that doesn't even work. That's pathetic.
I feel like house printers, like 40% of them work.
I mean, when's the last time I needed to print something? What are we doing here?
I printed 3 things off today.
Oh my
today?
gosh.
Yes.
What did you print?
What?
Different documents that I needed.
Oh, that's so shady. Are you going on a honeymoon? You going on a second honeymoon?
No. My wife needs stuff.
Dinner invitation?
No, my wife needs for her job. She needs stuff scanned, and she's in HR, so there's different things that she needs printed, things like that.
So she printed it. You didn't, but
we have a family printer. The printer is in my workspace.
Oh, so she sent it to you so you could do the printing.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if it's HR stuff, I'm sure you can share whatever the personal information is with all of us.
Yeah. Why don't you read those out loud? That was like the one time it was justified for Zach to be a little
It's true. All right. Well, hopefully you can read them over at Barclay Prime.
Sorry we didn't get to all these comments. We have a athletic meeting here, but we appreciate all those, and you'll be able to watch this as a replay. Now I'm going to need to continue to see those reviews pour in on the Apple Podcast page. Everyone did a great job, but it wasn't just 10 for the whole season. You got to keep those bad boys coming.
I know, that's right. And next week, as long as camp starts, Craning Camp Daily Pods. Get excited. Get ready. So
not on video, though, right?
I'm not so sure that Marissa knows what she's in for with these, but
I'm excited.
But here we come.
We've never had a producer for them.
Yeah, usually it's the two of us. Yeah. There's a reason for that. That's right. But we also are not going to be allowed to be in the same room. So I guess we need it. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Thanks to the handful of you who watched live and the millions of you who are going to watch later. And we'll talk to you next week. For Zach and Sheil and Marissa, I'm Bo. And as always, we love you.